Welcome to the Beer and Me That Beer podcast. I'm David.
I'm Sam.
And welcome to episode number 25. We hit the quarter century mark.
Oh, man. That's, kudos, pats on the back. Good job, everybody. I think we can call it here. It's good.
This is
good
our
run.
last episode ever.
We had a good run.
It was okay.
Buddy.
It was okay run. We're joking. This is not our last episode. But
wouldn't that be funny, though?
25, that's it.
25.
And we start a new podcast after this.
No, that's it. Just abrupt. And then we just fall off the face of the planet. They're like, what happened to those guys?
They died.
Yeah, that was it.
This episode is special because we're starting a series, a 4-part series, and we are doing a Netflix original series review of the Brews Brothers. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But first, the beer. What are you drinking, buddy? I see some cans right there.
Do you?
Yeah.
All right. Very excited for this one. Big time favorite. I've got some Dr. Pepper. Love it. 23 flavors. Can't get enough.
I think that's a Sprite.
Yeah, but for serious, I have from... That was pretty good, right? I should have just left it at the one can.
Yeah, you should have.
But for serious, my actual beer, the Sierra Nevada, the Hazy Little Thing IPA.
A lot of people like that beer.
I'm one of them. I do like this one.
And that's funny because I also have a hazy beer.
What? My brew brother.
It is called the Hop Cloud Hazy IPA from Mike Hess, and it's got this little hipster guy on the front.
Hipster guy. Oh, yeah. It's so trendy looking.
Yeah, I'll show you, Sam.
Oh, delightful.
Show the other camera.
Is that you? Is that you on the can? That looks kind of like you.
I kind of was like, oh shit, I totally should wear a
flannel and then just throw on some lenses.
Yeah, looking at it, I kind of have the haircut right now.
Yeah,
that guy.
You're almost there. Just a little wardrobe change, and you're like spot on.
That'd be funny if we started doing that. Only buy beer that has a person, and we had to dress like
match the person on the can. Man, that would be. I feel like that might be a bit of an undertaking.
Yeah. Okay. The beer smells great.
All right. Good sign.
Hoppy.
Mm-hmm.
Hazy and funky.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Flavor. That's a damn. That is a very good hazy IPA for Mike S. That it's unique too. It's not like some IPA or some hazy IPA. It's got this different flavor that almost a little sweeter, which helps with the bitterness. I'm going to read the label.
Please do.
There is no label.
Fuck. Wow, actually, David.
There is. I do have a box though, so maybe the box has information.
Mm-hmm.
That just talks about Mike Hess. I don't see anything about the beer. Lame.
Really?
Yeah, it's called Hop Cloud though. That's about it. It's got some. I think it tastes like fruit, which is really good.
Mm.
Yeah. Hops and fruit. Ooh, that's a really solid beer. It's 7%, which is perfectly fine for a hazy IPA.
Perfectly fine.
I know what I'm gonna be for Halloween.
What's that?
The guy.
You're gonna be the guy on the can. Yeah, you should be. You're like right there.
Awesome.
Oh, and I didn't say much about this one, but good as well.
Yeah, it's a good beer. I mean, Sierra Nevada.
Mm-hmm.
Some can argue that they started the independent craft beer scene in California.
In fact, part of the thing on the label says family owned, operated, and argued over. Right on the can. So
it is
arguments all around.
Ken Grossman is widely considered a godfather of craft beer. Fitzgerald? That's another guy. I forget his name. I learned him in school. He also is a godfather of craft beer. But yeah, I'm actually jealous of that beer because I feel like I can do a lot if I just drink that beer.
Which one? My beer?
That yeah,
I am
like
doing a lot.
it's a sipping beer. I can clean the house, drink 12 of them, and make it last longer.
Drink 12 of them. I don't know how productive you're going to be after 12.
I'm super productive when I clean and drink. It's amazing. It's a
Oh,
great
man.
feeling.
Oh, man.
All right, you ready for this topic?
Let's get it.
I'm super excited. I know Sam's super excited.
I like shows.
Yeah, Netflix. Netflix is interesting because they sometimes have really good originals. Sometimes they have some really bad originals.
I feel like it's more often than not it's bad, but
Yeah.
they do occasionally come out with like pretty good quality stuff.
And I don't want to say like it's 100% bad. Like I would say you could have done better. It's not the worst shows in the world. But they have a good model where, they're mostly, it's all online. But apparently they just bought a theater in LA.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, what a
because
time.
They want to, I guess that's what you need to be nominated
Yeah,
for
to
Oscars. You have to
right.
be able to play your film in a theater in LA for a month.
for it to qualify for
Yeah.
to be for submissions and stuff. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I've heard that.
I have not heard that, and I'm surprised.
Oh, well, we'll get on my level, man. Be a
I'm
film
surprised
film
those
guy.
awards haven't come up with an online version.
Just give it time. There could be something like that.
But yeah, so we're talking about the Brews Brothers, which just came out in April, I believe, the end of April.
Hold on, I got a date here. It was
April 29th?
April
20th?
10th was
10th.
the release date that I got here.
Awesome. On Netflix. And like Netflix, it releases all the episodes at the same time, which is, everyone should do that, really. Like, get it over with. Just binge it. Let me watch all of it. Don't let me wait.
I would rather have all of it at once and watch at my own pace than have to wait week to week when I really want to just get through it. Because that's one kind of torture.
And then when I'm done binge watching it, I can take the time to analyze it in my thoughts and then watch it again. So yeah, this is the Brews Brothers, and we're going to go through 2 episodes on this podcast, and we'll do 2 episodes next week. It's a total of 8 episodes on the Netflix series, and we'll do it in 4 parts. So hold on to your cowboy hats, grab a beer, and let's dive right in.
Yeah. And, spoiler alert. So if this sounds, if the idea of like a show centered around beer and like, not sitcom style, it's not sitcom style, but like a comedic beer themed show that is not our show.
Yeah.
Get on it before we start talking about it.
Yeah. Watch it and then listen to us.
Yeah, there we go. It'd be like a book club.
Yeah, but you don't get to say anything.
Yeah, keep it to yourself.
It's our book club. So the first episode is called The Brothers Rodman. It's directed by Jeff Schaefer.
Oh,
And
wow.
the writer is Greg Schaefer. And if you guys don't know that guy is he did The League.
That explains a lot.
Yeah.
That's
it's
a lot. That's a
those
lot of like the
slapstick
vibe
jokes,
of
yeah.
this.
If you're don't know anything about The League, even if it's about fantasy football, even if you really aren't into fantasy football, there are some jokes, but for me, it was a little too niche. And I watched it, and I love fantasy football. And every time I say fantasy football to someone that's not into fantasy football, they're like, "Oh, do you watch The League?" And I was like, "Yeah, I tried to, but it wasn't funny." But yeah.
And then following suit from that show, this is a bit of a niche kind of thing too. Although there's definitely room, I would think, in the craft beer world for like a comedic style show like this. So
Yes.
it's
Yes,
nice
I
to see
agree.
something like this.
I think anyone that there should be a niche podcast show or a niche YouTuber show that is just about making it as a YouTuber or a podcaster. I would definitely enjoy that, and I think people enjoy it when people enter their world. But I know for a fact that some people don't enjoy it because then it's just stereotypical or downright not true.
Yeah, no. Talk about hyper specific things. I like that.
Yeah, niches are good. This is from the Netflix description summary of the episode. Brewery owner Wilhelm Rodman gets a visit from his polar opposite brother Adam, but the unpleasant reunion is cut short by a bigger crisis.
And I think this goes without saying. This show is centered around a brewery, and there are brothers involved that run the thing. So that's kind of
If you didn't get that from the title,
yeah. I mean, I feel sorry for you. Context helps a lot, and I feel like that's a big gimme with that title.
yeah. It's also, I feel like it's a little hard to say Brews Brothers.
Well, mostly because I
I'm
want to say
saying it
Blues
wrong.
Brothers.
Yeah, that too. That too. That sounds better. Anyways. So I have like a summary sheet, and I'm just going to go over some talking points.
Yeah. All right. Let's do it.
The first quote that Wilhelm says is, "Beer makes you feel the way you ought to feel without beer." This is true.
So you agree?
Yeah.
Okay.
The first joke is really weird. They just, out of the bat, some guy comes in and asks for a dildo.
Yeah.
Called the accommodator.
I kind of I don't know if it lands every time, but I kind of like that about the Wilhelm character, where he's just like innuendo just goes way over his head, and they have to tell him about it. They're like, hey, so everything you say just sounds like
it's sexual.
Really super sexual sounding. He's like, oh, I hear it now. Yeah.
Yeah, so this guy wants the accommodator, which is a dildo, I guess. And Wilhelm offers him his most drinkable ale, the Rod Guzzler.
It's okay. That got a chuckle out of me.
And then the guy's like, "Well, you're in Venice, and you got all these sexual names." Mm-hmm. And then it kind of hits Will like, "Oh, okay."
I thought I came in thinking this was a sex shop. I don't know.
Yeah. Then we're introduced to Chewy, which I guess is, I don't know what his actual title is, but he works at the brewery.
He works. Yeah, I don't know if he's not like a head brewer or something. He's just like a spare hand.
No. Yeah. Assistant to the manager, maybe.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I see him cleaning a lot, but also drinking a lot.
Yeah. And he's definitely like comic relief, like just kind of just. He's like the dumb character a little bit, but
yeah, but he's not dumb.
He's not dumb, but he's just like he's not 100% there. He's kind of just like real.
I would say he's the lucky character that does stupid shit, but nothing actually bad happens to him.
Okay.
We're also introduced to Sarah, who also works at the brewery. And she seems to care a lot more than Chewy does about working there. She likes working in the brewery, and even with like that first scene with Will, who is the main owner of the brewery, you can tell right off the bat they have like a little moment, and Sarah, I think, really likes Will.
Do you think so? I'll definitely say that.
Yeah,
say for Sarah's character, I think so far I probably like her the most out of everybody, and she seems like the most sensible, grounded person there.
Yeah, she does. And I did a little research. This is actually like her first kind of project that she's done.
Oh, the actress?
Yeah, the actress.
Oh, she's good in here.
Herself, yeah. Yeah, she seems really down to earth. She's the most real character. Like nothing feels unorganic from her. It feels like that's what a person would say in the brewery world. Followed by that, we're introduced to Adam, who is Will's brother.
And they're like estranged brother. Yeah.
Yeah. But at the beginning, he like describes he's tasting a beer and he describes it really well. Kind of like one of those hop craft beer douchebags. And you find out that he's really about the craft and the beer than anything else. What I thought was weird next, like Adam hugs Will, but Will punches him in the face. And I thought that was just really odd. Yeah, really weird.
Well, they definitely seem to have a very complicated relationship, the two of them.
Yeah, and we find that out in the second episode as well. That it's weird. It's not. Yeah, I don't have a brother my age, so I don't know how that relationship. And they seem to be close age, but I guess they would be competing all the time. Is my thing. Sam has a brother, but a younger brother.
They're young enough to make a difference, but we're also very different. Like I think I would probably relate to this more if like me and my brother had like a big common interest like that. But we're so different. It's not. Yeah. Like I don't know. Maybe if we were both like well, like not that we're not both musician types, but like the same kind of music kind of thing.
Yeah,
Probably could relate on that level to these guys and just the craft beer.
But do you relate at all to their brotherly hate and love?
I definitely see shades of. So like I feel like it's not totally like out of left field the way they kind of react to each other. Like just from my experience and like seeing other siblings and stuff. It's like it seems very familiar to me. So
yeah, I think all my good friends have siblings. I have half siblings, but they are like 20 something years younger than me, so not even close.
Like I can't relate to that.
Yeah. One of the weird moments, and there's a famous actor in it, and it's when Will has like the take a growler, leave a growler. And then there's a homeless man takes a shit right outside like the brewery door.
That didn't connect with me immediately. That I'm like I could not remember that guy's name when I seen him, but I was like, oh no, I know this guy. He's been in a lot of stuff, this guy.
Yeah.
But it's like
he is definitely a comic relief slapstick character, and I remember him from Reno 911.
Right.
And he has like a line that says, "Oh, welcome to the Suck Fest, and it's just a weird character, and he's a weird character here.
Yeah, but it's like a total bit part. Like he's just there for like a second and then he's gone.
Yeah,
but
yeah, that's it.
Yeah, just to kind of like flesh out this goofy world this whole thing takes place in. So
yeah, and then we get to, I guess, kind of the combining of both brothers. Sarah convinces Will to hire Adam as a brewer because the brewery needs money. They are in Van Nuys, which is a very expensive part of LA. It's kind of like the Valley, so if people know that. Also, it's expensive in California, period. And it's expensive to run a brewery. And the brewery is huge for a startup. Most breweries I know like smaller breweries are like people that really want to make beer, but then they make it big, they do there for a couple of years, and then they go and start another brewery, but then they start a big one. But this is Will's first time, so I'm shocked how big this brewery is. Adam says he wants to completely turn this place opposite, and he describes it as he wants people to meditate on the beer.
He's such a snob. That bugs me about him, but I guess that's part of his character.
He plays that craft beer douche really well, and this is not over the top. There are people in the craft beer world like this that are all about the flavor, all about the craft, and could care less about the the brewery itself, which is fine. But he is really over the top. He's insane.
Yeah. He's definitely exaggerated to points, I think, but
he's very hateable. But I guess that's the point. I mean, you're getting a reaction out of me on this character, so good job on that. But I hate him.
Well, we're literally only 2 in, so there's definitely room for growth, I think. But
yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting how Sarah like reached out and brought him in, because you could definitely tell like just Will on his own. He has like a passion for like beer. It's just he doesn't know what he's doing. So it's like he wants this business to work. He just doesn't know how to make that happen. So
yeah. I think he's a good brewer.
They set that up early, I think, too.
He doesn't have the business side, but he's nice and he has a good face to be the face of the brewery. Sarah, so far, is the most responsible person, and Adam, I mean, apparently he kills it at making beer. One thing I don't understand from the series is Sarah has cauliflower ear because she was an MMA fighter. But everyone like makes fun of it, and makes a huge deal, and I couldn't get
So
the
like,
joke.
was she actually an MMA fighter? I think I might have missed that part.
Well, they say that she says she was an MMA fighter and had to retire because she was injured. We later find out that's not true, but we will hold off.
Well, you know, they don't come out and say that that necessarily isn't true, but we do find out that there's more going on there.
Yeah, than what she says she is. So it makes me think that wasn't true. But she has cauliflower ear, and for the most part, that's not really what cauliflower ear looks like. It's super red when cauliflower ear isn't. It's a deformation of your ear. But they spent like tons of time going over this joke, and I just don't get it.
I get it. I just don't, like, me personally, I don't find it like the most funny thing in the world, but it's definitely, they're trying for like a visual gag, and it's just like all the characters are just like, ugh, like, well, cover that up or whatever. But like I get what they're going for.
It smells. Huh? It smells like Adam's reaction. It smells.
Yeah, I get what they're going for. I think maybe if they took another couple rounds at that joke, maybe they could have landed on something better.
I do like Mike Castle's acting. He's a pretty, and he's Adam. He's a really good actor and just funny, and it makes he's real. I just think the character's over the top. We in the episode then we come up to the first actual interaction with customers, and again it's over the top, but I feel like it's super. It happens all the time. They ask their two female customers, and they ask for like a Stella and a Bud Light, and Adam freaks the fuck out, saying, "You want a Stella? Like that's the most unoriginal beer in the world. That makes you the most unoriginal person in the world." And then he spits on the ground to the Bud Light girl and says, "Oh, you can froth that up and probably taste like Bud Light."
But David, he's very serious about his craft.
I know, but then Will's like, and Sarah too. You can't send customers out. You know, you want a good rep. But I feel like that's real too. Like there are some people that are like, if you drink Bud Light, you're an idiot. If you drink Stella, you're an idiot. But drink whatever beer you want. Beer is beer.
So David says.
I mean, I'll drink Coors Light. I'll drink Coors Banquet. I'll drink some Pabst.
We have drinks and Pabst.
Yeah, Pabst is good because it doesn't get me that drunk.
Oh my!
But yeah, Sarah says don't drive people away, and then Will says beer is about bringing people together, and Rodman's is the perfect king, and I agree with that a lot. Adam's like, no, it matters most is making the beer.
So right away you could tell that there's like these guys have like differing opinions on just like what matters most for.
Yeah, same world, and it's important to know that you need all of that to make a good brewery, and people like it. The making of great beer shouldn't just be something you have to make good beer. You have to make great beer, and then the brewery part is also important because you need people to come, you need people to hang out and things to do. We find out Adam has a master's in agricultural chemistry and zymurgy at Oregon State, and zymurgy is an applied science which studies the biochemical process of fermentation and its practical uses.
I gotta be honest, when I heard him drop that, I was like, is that a real thing? That sounds like a made-up thing that he was talking about.
I know agricultural chemistry is a real thing. I couldn't find the zymurgy as a degree, but zymurgy is under agricultural chemistry.
Hilarious. Yeah, I feel like that's definitely like an insider joke.
It's like little stuff like that make the show real, and it's not over the top like Parks and Rec or The Office. Like they're using real terms, and how the craft beer world is real.
Are you getting pretty winded or what?
This beer is super good. Sorry, this is one thing I'm like really happy to talk about. Reviews. I think reviews are fun. We then Will actually learned how to craft beer at the monasteries in Europe. We also learned that Will has gonorrhea.
From, what did he say? It was like a youth hostel or something?
A youth hostel, but Adam says it's like a porta potty or something.
I was like, what? Is that... Are you being serious, or are you just messing with him or something?
And the funny part was like Adam makes the gonorrhea comment, and then Will's like, "Oh, so you do follow me on Instagram?"
I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, that's a good joke. The cool part is that Will has learned how to make beer from monasteries in Europe, which are like the old school of making beer, and arguably some of the greatest beer in the world comes from European monasteries. I'll just say that. And then we come to the real problem. Another customer comes in, and Will starts to pour him the Rodman Stiff Stout. I think Rodman is just a sexual thing.
Definitely. Yeah.
So that makes everything else sexual.
I think definitely that was on the board when they were like chalking up ideas for this series. They're like, okay, well, if let's write this on the board, we could probably get a lot of mileage out of this for jokes. So maybe we should just incorporate that in somewhere.
And it's like if someone has that last name, it's not weird. But when you put it on a sign and then you start putting other words,
yeah, when you start marrying it with
that make beer names, yeah.
Yeah.
But then we find out that customer is actually collecting rent and says they're 3 months behind. So we find out that the brewery's not doing so well, but the guy likes the beer. And then one of the jokes I really like a lot, Adam says, "Hey, Will, how do you say you're fucked in German?" And then Chewy's walking in the background and says, "Oh, du Beizgefit."
Like, okay, that's weird. Why do you know that? But
Like,
all right.
Yeah. Well, we find out that Will knows a little bit of German. And actually Will is Wilhelm, but he legally changed his name to Wilhelm from Will because of I have it in my notes here.
Gosh.
I like this story. Wilhelm changed his name from Will in honor of the Bavarian Duke responsible for the Reinheitsgebot, which is a beer purity law that states that beer will only be made of water, barley, and hops. Also, it talks about pricing and where you can sell it. But that was one of my funny jokes. This is the first episode, so we got a lot of information out of it.
It's the pilot.
Here are some of the names I saw on the beer board. Rodman Stiff Stout, On the Hopping Block, Fennes Flanders Red, Deutschland Dunkel, Reinheitsgebot Red, Teapot Short and Stout, Perfect Head Porter, On the Chopping Block, Check Please Pilsner, Wilhelm's Goes Down Easy, Johann Sebastian Doppelbock, Full Mast Ale, and Rod Guzzler. I thought those were funny names. I like names of beers a lot.
It's definitely a way to be creative.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, naming beer must be the best thing ever. We're also introduced to two crazy characters, Becky and Elvis.
Oh, the food truck crew.
They run a food truck called Kids Menu, which is basically like chicken nuggets, mac and cheese, and little kids.
I gotta say, I love that idea. I'm like, that should be a real food truck. That sounds awesome.
Oh, it 100% is a food truck in LA and San Diego. There has to be. Yeah.
That if not, jump on that.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, Becky and Elvis are the epitomation of like stereotypical LA hipster trash people, though. So they're very
They're
free.
super horny.
Don't believe in deodorant. Yeah, and the first scene is them crashing into some trash cans in front of the brewery, and then Will comes out and is like, "Hey, you coming in a little hot?" It's like, "Yeah, we were digitally pleasuring each other."
So right away,
and it's like you either park right or have an orgasm. And Becky's like, I chose the orgasm.
Man. Yeah.
And she's a famous YouTuber.
Oh, is she? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, she started in YouTube. Inanna Sarkeets, and she's Becky, and Zach Reno is Elvis.
Interesting.
They're super interesting characters. They're over the top, like the whole show is basically, but the LA trash hipster part is on point, and I think it's hilarious. Like the guy's wearing the big fucking urban sombrero hat.
Yeah, they're immediately showing their hand just by being there. I'm like, okay, I understand. I get these characters right away.
Yeah. The cool part about the show is that they introduce a lot of problems right away, like not making a lot of money. Adam and Will, and then they introduce a third problem. Cole Harris from East Valley Craft Distribution. So, being a brewery, you want to distribute. You want your beer in other places, and Will and Adam both introduce themselves as the brewmaster, and Cole is very confused. Poor Cole. I would be pissed like he is. He's just like throwing around. So Will's like, "Oh, I'll bring you a flight of our best beer," and then Adam sits with him, and Adam starts interviewing him about where he's going to have this beer served, what kind of food the place is served, and then ask if the establishments clean, how often the establishments clean out the taps.
Man.
And then Adam's like, "Okay, I don't think it's going to work out."
Yeah. So after that goes totally south. It's just, yeah. He just has he's like, yeah, we'll work something out, but I can't talk to this guy anymore. He's the worst.
Yeah. Sarah like convinces him to come back, but as long as Adam doesn't talk, and they brew him a new beer.
Which kind of introduces like the main issue for the remainder of the first episode and like all of the second episode, just about.
Yeah, that's the cool part, that the first and second episode are super connected between this one problem, and it's making this beer. It starts off with Will and Adam like, "Oh, what should we make?" But then they're like, "Oh, we should just make two different beers." And that's when we're introduced a little bit about their history together, and that they started brewing when they were kids and won competitions, which is crazy. It's like a giant montage. One of my funny things is Chewy says, "Oh, there's different beers."
I like as they unveil more over the course of these episodes, and like you learn a little bit more about that character in particular. I'm like, that guy seems interesting.
Yeah. Also, there's a giant sex joke, which I still don't get, where Will lives at the brewery and he has his bed there. Adam takes the bed because Adam has nowhere to go. Because Adam actually gave a bunch of people a hallucinogen beer at a beer competition. So he got kicked out of Portland and isn't allowed to brew in Portland and got kicked out of the state. So then they're talking about, like, oh, Will says to Adam, "Hey, you don't want to sleep in my juices," which he means semen.
Duh.
And then Adam goes into this. He's like, he literally asks me, "You want to go into this?" And Adam tells him like that he edges himself 30 days out of the month, but he doesn't orgasm until the 30th day. And he's like, "Oh, I just explode on the 30th day." It's funny, but then it's
gross.
Like, yeah. And they talk about it a lot in the first episode and then the second episode as well.
And you kind of get a payoff for that in here too, but it's gross.
It's weird. Adam actually likes Becky, but Becky and Elvis are a couple and basically fuck and have sex and make out,
which is a joke in itself, because he's just like,
yeah,
he's so like, it's happening in front of him and he's like, "Oh man, I still got a shot." He's like, I don't want to ruin everything with Becky, and they're freaking like, they're doing it right there. Yeah. I'm like, you're an idiot.
Adam's like, "Oh, can you smell the chemistry?" And Will's like, "Yeah, that's because she's having sex with her boyfriend right now." So yeah, then Cole gets back there, and Will and Adam have their two IPAs, gives them to them. One of the funniest things is Cole is trying the beer, waiting for him to decide, and Chewy's watching a game on his phone, and he like breaks the silence saying, "Chivas score, goal." And then Sarah's like, "Enough, put it away." And then he's like, "Oh, it's recorded. It's an older game."
I thought it was a total throwaway joke, and I was like, "Oh, that's hilarious." I was like, "You're a freaking moron."
It's like a used joke. You know, you break the silence, but the funnier part, it was recorded and he had seen it before, but still screams at the
like it's his first time. Idiot.
Yeah. That's the kind of small things that the show's doing, where jokes are a little smarter and a little better. Because honestly, a lot of a lot of shows, period, use a lot of the same jokes, just in a different way. So then Cole likes what we think is Adam's beer, but then Will's like, "Oh, that's not your beer, that's my beer." And then we find out that Adam actually peed urine in Will's beer. But Cole loves the beer.
Yeah, which this goes on to be a big driving force for basically the rest of these 2 episodes. The fact that he went and did that.
The second episode is basically, and we're gonna get into it right now. And this is the second episode called Recreate the Opus. It's when Robin's Brewery must replicate a golden recipe. Wilhelm handles some free-spirited customers, and Adam probes the past of his coworker Sarah. So it starts off by Adam having, "Hey, I recreated the beer. Here you go." And he's like, uses cloves and grapefruit.
I was going to say, but we should also mention by the end of the first episode, the guy actually likes that version of the beer and places an order for like, what was it, like 20 kegs or something?
Yeah, 20 kegs. Yeah, he first asked for 10, but then he's like, "It's so unique, it's so good." Then he places an order for 20 kegs. So the brewery has some motion, some forwardness, some movement. All right, the second episode, like Sam said, is basically about the piss problem.
Or the fact that they have to recreate that brew.
Yeah, here's the responsible part, that Adam's like, "We got to make that beer, but without my piss." Here's the stupid problem. I don't think anyone would ever do that and then willingly give it to someone to drink.
Well, that was the thing, though, because, like, I don't think, like, he did that, like, just to get back at the guy, but I don't think he thought he was actually going to serve it.
Yeah, and he did.
He did, and then it ended up, like, being, like, a worst-case thing. It's like, hey, that happened, and he liked it. Well, fuck, we just buried ourselves.
Here's Netflix summary. When Rodman's Brewery must replicate a golden recipe, Wilhelm handles some free-spirited customers, and Adam probes the past of his coworker Sarah. So we're introduced to most of the characters at this point: Adam, Will, Sarah, Chewie. Cole seems to be like a side character, but who's very important because he gives them money for beer.
Right. And then we're introduced to the founders.
Yeah, that was my favorite part, because it's my goal one day to be part of this founders circle or founders group. If you're not, a lot of breweries do this, but not as founders, but as VIPs. So you pay however much money. I know L. does this, and you get like a birthday bottle. You get a free beer every time you go. You get the first you're the first ones to grab the really exclusive bottles before to go public. And L. is pretty expensive. I've looked it up. But for what you're getting, it's not the most expensive thing in the world. Where are they? I think their names are Matt and Jack.
Right.
And
they're pretty funny.
Yeah, they gave Will some money when he was first starting. Yeah. Also, wouldn't it be cool to like give someone some money and they actually turn out to make some good beer, and then your pictures on the wall? I want that so badly.
But I don't know. I like how it was like they were like early backers, and it was almost like they were buying stock or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're like, "Oh yeah, we paid like, what was it, like $500 to get
each.
this?
Yeah,
to get this off the ground, and now we just get unlimited beer."
Yeah, they drink beer all the time whenever they want for free.
Stupid.
So yeah, Adam makes that beer again, but both Sarah and Will say it's good, but it's not the same. So then they're trying to come up with a way, and Sarah, the smartest group of the bunch, says, "Oh, maybe it's what you ate." And Will's like,
good logic.
Semen." Because Sarah's like, "Oh, some foods make your urine probably taste different," which is true. But then Will makes it very funny by saying semen.
And I like how they both like give Sarah a weird look. Yeah. Like, why would you know that?
But also, like, Adam's like, oh, she must drink a lot of pee.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, that
So
was.
then
That was
they're
pretty
trying to
good.
figure out what Adam ate, and then they, kid menu, the food truck is back, and he's like, oh, I ate maybe some chicken fingers. But then Becky and Elvis are talking about non-GMO organic stuff, and then they try to kill a fly with bug spray, like
In the truck.
In the truck, heavy chemicals spraying everywhere. And then Adam's like, "Oh no, I gave this to." Oh, I forgot to mention, there's a dog on this brewery show called Friar Francis, and it's like a Saint Bernard mixture. Because he's black and kind of hairier than a Saint Bernard, but he's this big dog that loves beer. He has a little fucking watering bowl that's a beer, but there's a little barrel that fills it up when he pulls down on the lever. So Friar Francis is awesome. Adam says he actually ate at a different food truck and had kimchi tacos and watermelon horchata, which to me is so LA and honestly is becoming San Diego, but I'd rather have carne asada tacos with some regular horchata.
All right. Oh, but side note, that kind of bugged me about Adam in that moment where I'm like, well, if you knew that you gave that food away, why did we waste our time and go here? I'm like, you're an idiot.
He is an idiot.
Yeah, I don't know.
There was a little funny joke where Chewy or Sarah says, or I think it's Sarah, it's Sarah, or Will says that food truck is all the way by Munford Brewery, a real brewery in LA. And then Chewy's like, oh, Munford Brewery, that's a great brewery. like Rodman's isn't. I thought that was funny, and I like that they're actually saying real brewery names, which is always nice to for Netflix to keep it as real as possible. That's my 2 cents about little beer reviews or beer shows.
And then another note on that, I thought it was funny when they were deciding to head over to that other food truck, Chewy was going to head out with them, and then he just throws the keys to the founders. Hey, you guys want to lock up? And then Will's just like, you can't give the key to the customers. He's like, why not? He's like, I do it all the time. Yeah. This isn't even the first time. And he's like, we got to talk, man. We can't do this.
You're staying here.
You're staying. Yeah. I thought that was pretty funny.
So then we're at the second food truck, and the worker at the food truck recognizes Sarah and says that, oh, you were a few grades lower than me in high school, and says, oh, you must have just graduated. Then Will and Adam are like, what the fuck?
Yeah, they kind of pause and go like, wait, how old are you?
And then Sarah's like, no, I'm 25. And the guy's like, no, you're not.
And he's like, no, you don't. You must be mistaken. I'm not the person you think I am.
But yeah, then that kind of gets off, and then we're back at the brewery, but it's night now. That's the one thing I don't like about the show. There's a lot of inconsistencies.
What do you mean?
So in the first episode, I go back in the first scene where when Cole is introduced, Sarah's talking to him like, oh, you just let our, talking to Adam and Will saying, hey, you just let our distributor go. He's like, I'll go find him. And she leaves. And then when they're talking, Will and Adam, she comes back with a hat on. Mm-hmm. And she wasn't wearing a hat when she left. And she has this hat on for 2 more scenes, and then it's gone.
Well, David, you can put on and remove hats.
I know, but her character hasn't worn a hat at all, and it just looks very placed. And it's too big for her.
I was like, it's literally the first episode. And I don't think that character really cares. I mean, she doesn't seem like she would, but...
All right, so that's just one of my... And there's a scene in here that if you watch it slowly, it makes me cringe, but I'll get to that. There's a good joke when they come back from the brewery that Adam's like, I only use a centiliter of pee. And Will's like, huh? And then Adam says, 1/3 of an ounce. And Will is still confused.
He's like, I don't know that measurement.
Adam says the amount of pee that ends up next to the toilet when you miss. And then Sarah says that's a lot more than a third of an ounce.
Yeah, there's another weird throwaway joke.
Yeah.
It was good, though.
This whole episode is basically about pee, which I still don't get. Like what?
Between that and the weird, like, edging joke in the first episode, it's like, there's, like, a lot of stuff about, like, bodily fluids in these first two episodes. The weird.
So then they head into the brewery, but the brewery is fucking packed. Mm-hmm. Packed with a ton of people. And then it's a bunch of Chewy's old workers at the mechanic shop, which is like 3 businesses down from them. And then Will's like, oh, we can really use the customers because we need the money. And then Chewy's like, oh, they're not paying. They're founders.
Yeah. And I like how they like that little back and forth they have where he's like, Chewy, we can't do this. You have to tell them that they have to pay for stuff. He's like, well, no, they're founders. They backed. He's like, well, it's $500 isn't going to cut it. And he's like, oh no, I got him to pay a lot more. And he's like, oh, it's like super impressed. It's like, oh, that's awesome, Chewy. You got us that much money. He's like, yeah. Now you have like this much credit for like auto. What was it? It was like
it's 1,000 each, and then 8 of them. So 8,000 in worth of auto body repair.
They're stupid. And he's like, I don't even have a car.
He's like, I thought you had a Volvo.
He's like, I
did. I sold it to buy the fermenter.
Useless. Yeah.
That shit was so... Chewy's like super smart and clever, but doesn't think it all the way through.
He's got good intentions and like he starts correct, but then it just kind of just falls off.
Yeah.
That was funny.
So then we're into... Adam and Will have a little scene where they talk about Sarah's weird interaction with the food guy. Mm-hmm. Adam doesn't think anything of it. And then another pee joke where Adam's like, hey, can you turn off the lights? And then Will's like, oh, there's a stream by the bed.
Oh, yeah.
Adam's like, oh, there's a stream by the bed? Pulls it. It's a bucket of pee that falls on him.
You'd think he would notice a bucket above him rather than a light bulb.
Or like just doing all that work to just throw the bucket of pee on him then.
I don't know, but it's like you got to understand. It's like that's the point. He's like, I want you to do it to yourself.
But then Adam like is drenched in pee and then just like shakes it off like a dog and gets Will wet with his own pee, so it backfired.
Great, so good.
Yeah. Next morning, those auto mechanic founders are back, like in the morning at 8 a.m., trying to get drunk before work.
Oh fuck.
Then Sarah, the brilliant person she is, she's like, would you rather have fewer customers and go out of business slowly, or have a lot of customers and go out of business next week?
Good point.
Will is basically a baby. Yeah, Will's a baby. He doesn't want to say no to anyone. They're all having a good time. They all love him. Mm-hmm. But then Sarah's like, you got to do this. So he finally does it. And then Herman, the main auto mechanic guy, is like totally like thrown back. Like, no, this is so fucked up. You know, you're like a community like, what the fuck, dude? Like, no one goes to you. Like,
yeah,
I'm shocked. Like,
yeah, he's like, no, we tell our customers up front and we honor that.
Like, no, you don't. You're mechanics. I'm like, hey, we stand by our estimates.
Yeah, stupid. I'm like, that's not even the same.
Yeah, in an estimate, you're getting money no matter what.
Ugh, stupid. Yeah. And the fact that he's so upset that he wasn't paying at all and has to pay like just anything. I'm like,
and then the Volvo comes back up. He's like, because like, hey, we gave you $8,000 worth of auto repairs. Like, I don't even have a car. He's like, you're always talking about how you have a Volvo. He's like, I sold it. So then Will finally tells them, but they hate him. He comes back with that. There's like a window broken in their brewery front door, and he buys a custom windshield for it.
So stupid. And that's kind of how he gets them back into the good graces. But yeah,
and all throughout this episode, Adam is like convinced that Sarah is hiding something, like that she's a meth addict.
That comes up quite a bit.
6 kids with different dads. Started betting on the ponies and then started doing meth, which is dumb. He actually finds her purse, while she's cleaning up and goes through it. Sarah, Herman, and Will all come in, and Adam's like, everything I thought about you was true. He finds cash from her stripping, a whorish lip gloss, and a picture of 4 kids that clearly have different dads. And it turns out it's Herman's wife's purse, and he's like, my wife was looking all over for this. We must have left it here when we were getting wasted before work.
But then, Sarah's not exactly off the hook just yet because, they find out some stuff.
Yeah, and then this is the distributor arrives. And I'm still confused if they made the beer with pee or not, but I'm pretty sure they made it with pee because Adam was peeing into a jar for Will.
Yeah.
So they made a beer with pee to give to multiple restaurants in Van Nuys or in LA. I don't think any brewery would ever do that.
But, these guys, they don't, they're not all there. So,
yeah,
I kind of buy that.
Turns out, though, Cole, the beer's called Golden Surprise, which is a great name, I think.
Rodman.
Cole actually is like, oh, there's a mix-up. Can we get a stout instead? And Adam's like, what?
Yeah.
And Cole's like, yes. I want a stout. Will's like, I'll go get one. Yes, whatever you want. Anything but the pea beer.
Right.
But Adam makes such a big deal about
because he puts so much effort.
Can you try it? Try the beer. And then Sarah takes him down with a pressure point.
Which is, I feel like that's kind of a dick move on Cole's part. That just pull that out on him at the last second. He's like, "Hey, I know we arranged it to get this. It was an IPA, right?
Yeah, the IPA.
This house IPA made. They're like, but we want a stout instead. And I'm like, so you better have it handy. I'm like, that doesn't feel right to me.
I would say that probably doesn't happen that much because hey, we have order to make. We also have our own beer to serve. But if it's a first time brewery getting a distribution, I think you're willing to help out as much as you can. But for him to have 20 kegs of a stout there waiting as a startup brewery seems like a lot.
My thought would be if you're gonna make a change like that, you would want to give them some notice, not show up on the day and expect to leave with that after just telling them.
Oh, for sure.
I thought that was odd.
But they get out of their little predicament, and they get a check for 20 kegs. And I actually stopped the show to see how much the check was worth.
Oh, really?
And it was a check for $4,760. I don't know how real that is because I don't know anything about distribution or beer.
Where'd you pull that number from?
I stopped the Netflix show with him holding.
Oh, you freeze framed it?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I just paused it it took me 2 tries, but I got it.
I don't know. That sounds I don't know if that was worth all the trouble for as much as that was.
For a beer that they didn't plan on selling? Yeah. That seems pretty good to me.
You think so? I don't know. I would. I mean, I don't know. Not that I know anything about the economics of craft beer.
I mean, that might be rent.
Well, that's true.
So then Will makes peace with the auto mechanics by giving them free piss beer.
Which, nice that they were able to work it out that they could get rid of that stuff.
Yeah, to auto mechanics that don't know any better, and apparently drink all day.
Seriously, I'm like, what do you guys do?
Yeah,
that seems really dangerous.
I was watching this. If I drank all day, I would not be able to do my job. I can barely do this podcast while drinking.
But
yeah. Then the big surprise. Sam said it before. Sarah gets outed. That guy from the food truck shows up at the brewery. His name is Mason, and he brings his fucking yearbook from high school to prove that Sarah is younger than she is. And it's a picture of Sarah wrestling. And then Sarah walks in and she tells Will the truth that she's actually 19.
So definitely big no-no that she's working in a brewery.
And that's not allowed. You have to be 21 to serve in the state of California. Will says she's the best employee at the brewery, but legally she can't be there. Will fires Sarah, and Sarah's like, "Oh, like you're finally the bad guy." She starts walking away, then turns around and says, "You know, I'm going to have to report you for hiring and serving a minor because actually Will never asked for her fucking ID. He hired her without it." So Sarah blackmails Will to not fire her.
And
a manager position, a promotion, and a raise.
Wow, way to just blackmail and extort. That was.
I really thought they were gonna cut her from the show, and she would like work at another brewery. And make it big.
Oh, man, like that makes sense to me, but I was really hoping they wouldn't do that because I'm like, I feel like she is like a major reason for why this show works, like the way it does. So I'm like, don't get rid of her. She's good.
Yeah, and then Mason then blackmails Will for free beer and to be part of the founder circle.
Yeah,
because he's like, "Oh yeah, you would be in financial ruin if I reported this."
Well, he doesn't say I would. He's like, "But you know, if anyone were to find out," he's like, like nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Like me, I could say these things.
So then, forget the names, Matt and Jack, I think
the two.
Yeah,
main founders
are the two founder circles guys. Their pictures on the wall, and they put up Mason's picture. And the funny part is Matt and Jack are super skinny in their pictures, even from like a couple months ago. And they're like super fat now. And they tell Mason like, "Oh, you better buy bigger pants. Hey, you better start getting some insulin."
Yeah, they're like, "Oh yeah, these pictures were back in May," and they're like at least like they look like a solid 100 pounds more.
Oh, 100 pounds less.
That's pretty funny.
And then Adam says, "Don't," like Will's like really worried, and he's like, "Oh, don't worry." Adam says, "Don't worry, they'll be dead in 6 months." And then the episode ends.
All right. So, yeah, that's first 2 episodes of Brews Brothers. So,
what are your favorite parts?
Your favorite parts, meaning me, in relation to me.
You.
You. Probably not my most favorite thing I've seen so far this year. I mean, I know we're like early June, but like I definitely like this. I see this series having potential so far. Like I don't know. I feel like a kind of like early days Office, like especially like first season. I feel like they're just trying to find their footing a little bit, but I feel like there's something here. Like I like the setup. Like I think I like the characters, and I understand that there's like chemistry and stuff there, but like it just needs more time to like flesh out and then like ground more stuff and like flesh everything out. But yeah, I like it. I think it's a good start.
I agree with you. I like this show a lot. I like even reading back, I'm fucking cracking up because those jokes are funny. Every character, like you said, The Office. I wish this could be a mockumentary. But craft beer is just not that big, so it wouldn't really make sense to have like an actual crew. The idea of a crew being there filming, so it's one of those weird sitcoms, but not a sitcom because I guess it is a sitcom, but it's got this kind of like it's not just a slice of life. Like there are things that they have to do. There's like a goal.
It's maybe not quite so much, but I was going to say it's more of like an Always Sunny rather than like a Seinfeld or something.
Oh, It's 100% more like Sunny. Even the shooting, it's more like Sunny. And The League was just like that too.
Yeah, that would probably be like the most apt comparison. Yeah.
And Greg, being the writer, he did The League, and I think this is a League version. I like the craft beer jokes. I love the little bombs. I didn't like the pee joke. I didn't like the semen joke. I don't know why that could have done anything else.
I think there's
anything else.
Those are definitely jokes that could work, but like I think they just needed a few more passes at them. But I don't think like unless the remainder of the season is gonna just be like those kind of jokes, I don't think they will be. But if they like, yeah, I would just chalk that up to just being like contained in these two. But
yeah. There's one part where when Cole is trying the beers in the first episode, the 2 new IPAs, and Adam blows some air into Will's ear because he's standing right behind him, and then Will's like freaks out a little bit. Like those little tiny jokes make this like a real show to me. It's not the big weird multiple scene joke. It's like these little things like Chewie doing a little bit of thing, and then Adam being these little tiny jokes. The Chivas joke, the watching the phone saying it's recorded, fucking brilliant. Because and then there's another scene where Adam and Will are fighting, and then Chewie's recording it, and then Sarah pulls him away, and then he pulls his phone,
Pulls
away,
another phone,
brings another phone out, and there are tons of people that have two phones. He's also like working at the brewery, but also on his little Bluetooth headset as a Apple tech. He's like, no, that is not covered by Apple Care.
Yeah. So, yeah, I definitely think there's a lot of potential here if this continues. But
yeah, episode 2, the little semen Sarah joke was really funny. I thought they were just like so interested in if she drank pee.
But yeah, I don't know. I like it so far.
Yeah, there's a couple things I didn't like about the show though. Some of the scenes were stiff and unnatural. It just not how real life was. But then there are other scenes that were like, oh my god, that's exactly how it happens. But yeah, the Will punching Adam, and then Sarah says, "Oh shit," that felt really weird. And then this is a big one, and I told this before we actually started doing the podcast today. A brewery show about a brewery in Van Nuys when San Diego is 2 hours away. Like, San Diego is top 5 brewery cities compared to LA. Like, there are 5-6 good breweries in LA, and there's like 100 good breweries in San Diego.
Well, so I was meaning to ask you about this earlier, kind of off air, but like, so yeah, definitely San Diego prime craft beer spot. But I was wondering, like, what's the do you know what the craft beer scene is like up in Van Nuys or
So because LA is fucking huge, LA and LA. When you talk about the San Diego beer scene, it's San Diego County, and San Diego County is big. But compared to LA County is fucking huge. And they not even a quarter of the breweries. It's ridiculous how beer isn't a thing. They're getting there though, and the breweries that are there are super popular because there is no craft beer scene. It's so small. These breweries that started off are getting a lot of people. There's a brewery that I go to, me and Isabel go to Burbank a lot. That's where her aunt and uncle live. And there's a brewery, like, it's in Burbank. It's like 2 minutes away from where her aunt and uncle live, called Brew Yard. And if you go and just look up breweries you should go to in LA, this brewery will come up on like every list, if not number one on every list. It's just this, and Sam would like it because the 2 owners are Filipino.
What does that have to do with anything?
And they every Wednesday they do a giant fucking Filipino like food truck, and it's just a giant table of fucking Filipino food. I don't know if they still do that, but that's what I'm like. I think when you introduce culture into your brewery, it does more than anything else would, and just getting a regular food truck, like they make all the food right there. But it's just like that. There's like 3-4 good breweries that I like going to in LA versus 25 to 40 that I like going to San Diego. And San Diego is much smaller.
So the point I was trying to make was like, I don't know if maybe it's just like I don't know what the in show answer for that question would be, but I feel like if you were to apply this in real life, I think it's just because the San Diego market is just so much more saturated. Like you could like just round a corner and there's a brewery. Like they're you know, not quite as bad as like a Starbucks or a McDonald's, but they're pretty like they're fairly close together, right?
I feel like you could have done like the show where like a brewery from San Diego comes on though.
Well, they.
A little bit of
I was gonna say.
locale.
I was gonna say. Well, that they could
Also-
do that.
Also, they really only did it in Van Nuys because it's cheaper to have a LA crew than a San Diego crew and have your actors stay in
Like,
San Diego.
yeah, like I get like the real world logistics, but I mean for like in the context of the show, like I'm like, well, maybe it was just they saw that as an opportunity for like, oh, there's not a lot of like breweries out in this area. Maybe that's like a market that we could like kind of like start or capitalize on, make.
Yeah.
But
I did do like I did a little bit of research about the show, and they were like, "Oh, like that brewery that they film in is a real brewery, or was a real brewery. I think it's called Iron Triangle Brewery. They just closed up though, and so that's a real brewery. They got rented out, but then they closed a couple months after the filming ended. But then they're like, they based a show off of different other breweries, like, and there's one we went to, Mechaloid, in Van Nuys, and it's a great beer, great brewery. The parking sucks. There's no parking, and you have to park in the street in LA. Like that's impossible. But yeah, I get why they did it in Van Nuys, but San Diego, you could have done like a little like, hey, we're hanging out at this brewery, and then talking to a brewer, and that would have been a little like, hey, a homage to the locale, but still do the main show.
so it sounds like you're just wanting a different kind of show, or like you're just suggesting a different kind of show.
No, like still do sitcom, but like introduce the world. Like this show did, like, oh, we had Mumford, Angel City, and that's about it. That's all they really say about Van Nuys. In San Diego, you could have had like 6 breweries on each episode. Even do like a brewery competition, and they do have a brewery competition later in the show on this one, but they could have had a lot more local, and I think San Diego is more about craft beer than LA is.
Well, these are all good ideas, David, for your show, which will get off the ground eventually.
I need to talk to Netflix and be like, yo, make me an executive producer. Man. I can save this show. Overall, this is a great show. I think fine tuning. I think, organically, there's some stuff that I just don't like. There's a lot of stuff I do like. The one joke inside episode 2 talking about Emily Post, I don't know who the fuck that is.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably like a joke written for like 1 or 2 people, unless there's like a whole just audience that we're not aware of.
So I looked up Emily Post because I want to be informative. This is someone from like 200 years ago who wrote an etiquette book.
Yeah, that's a joke written for 1 or 2 people.
Yeah.
Like someone's going to get this and it's going to blow their mind.
Yeah. So there's just some jokes that are just like, what's the point? Is it worth it? And there's some other jokes that are like, wow, this like great. No one's ever done it. But overall, every character is very likable. That's my favorite part, except for Adam, because
he's written that way.
Dick. Yeah, no, but the most important part is I'm getting a reaction, and that I think that's what they were going for with this character. You hate him. Anything else, buddy?
No, I think that's pretty much all I got for at least eps 1 and 2. So
which episode did you like more?
So 1 was mostly like set up, but number 2.
Yeah, 1. I'm actually really like that 1 had all this information, but was very flowing. A lot of introduction, but everything was like, oh, here's the food truck, without making it obvious. Here's the distributor. Here's your rent. Here's your brother.
Well, it's like with any show. Like the first episode's always like, oh, we got to set things up. Just kind of like outline, like kind of like get people familiar with the stuff that they're going to continue with and whatnot. But I feel like number 2, like we were already introduced to the characters. We kind of have an idea of how things are, and then they could kind of open up with like some of the jokes, and kind of get you in that way. So I think I was leaning more in with number 2, but
I like episode 1 a little bit more because it wasn't all about a pea beer.
it was just kind of pea beer by the end of it.
It was at the end. It was just a little bit about pea beer. Episode 2 is just about piss beer. That's all it is.
There's more going on there.
There's a lot more going on. We find out about Sarah, but that I guess I'm just being biased because I really didn't like the joke. No one would do that in the brewery world. No one would willingly give someone beer with pea in it.
I think that's kind of the joke, though.
But it's not.
To you, that's just, that's how you're seeing it. I think I get it.
I'm going to give you a pea beer.
I'm not drinking your beer. I'm bringing my own beers.
I'm going to buy a canner. I'm going to open a can, pee in it, seal it up. Nice.
Yeah, definitely not.
For you.
Yeah, especially. I think I would be able to tell if you handed me a warm sealed beer. I'm like, maybe not do that.
Oh, I would cool it. I would make it nice.
Well, thanks for giving me your plan. So definitely not doing that.
All the beer.
Oh gosh. Beer. Okay. Anything else?
No, right. I'm good.
Keep drinking. Keep listening.